Hello guys. I don't usually record these types of videos, but given the recent hype around the Dawntrail job action trailer and a lot of speculation and uncertainty around what that means for the future of Red Mage, I figured I would just sit here and quickly go through the trailer and some of the stuff shown in the live letter and our speculation to talk about the future of the job going forward into the next expansion. To start off, I'll just quickly show the job action trailer and pause whenever they show something new and just quickly go over it. The timeline of actions pressed can be found in my notepad up here. I'm just going to play it through. The very first thing that they do is the upgraded jolt. It seems functionally identical except for the animation and probably increased potency. Nothing new, and then they gap close into the new Moulinet combo. This is slightly different from current, aside from the changed animation, and I assume the 3-step button, like 3 different actions. It now costs 50 mana instead of 60, which is pretty cool. Same as the single target combo cost. And then after this they go on to break their combo after displacing with an accelerated impact, which is brand new animation, seems functionally identical, gives the same amount of mana as Endwalker. So I'm anticipating that to be similar to Jolt, just the animation and potency increase. After this they press Embolden and the new OGCD. We know that's an OGCD because you're able to see the OGCD blue swirl beneath their feet. That occurs whenever anyone presses any OGCD. You can see it here with Embolden. Exact same thing. So we know this new action is an OGCD. No idea what it does. We'll never be able to tell until the mediator information comes out. After this they press Modification, which notably no longer gives you mana, but allows you to execute a melee combo for free. It gives you 3 mana gems like usual. They displace, they complete their combo with the 3 finishes. All looks exactly the same as Endwalker, and then notably they press a new button here. And there has been so much speculation that, oh my god, the job is ruined, why have they given it a 4th finisher, that's really boring. In reality, this is not a new GCD finisher, this is an OGCD. You can see the blue swirl around the character. As of right now, again, we know nothing about this, we don't know where it comes from, we don't know what it does. I would anticipate that in line with every other job that's been shown, it's just a new action that combos off something like Modification, because almost every personal or raid buff has been given a follow-up action based on the trailer shown today. So I would anticipate that to just be either something like a new Monific follow-up action, or because Flesh and Contra 6 were not shown in this, it could potentially be an upgrade to your next use of that OGCD. But again, no idea, just speculating. You're gonna have to wait for Mediator to find out for sure. And that's it. I'll leave the timeline up on the screen real quick and just go over the other stuff that we grasped from the rest of the live letter. Swiftcast's recast is reduced to 40 seconds, which is pretty cool. Nice quality of life change. For Red Mage, since we can already raise with dual cast, it's not a huge difference for like prog's sake. It's going to be pretty good for optimization though, because straight up replacing a short-casted GCD such as a Jolt or a proc with a Thunder or Arrow is a flat gain, assuming it doesn't cost you anything in the long term, such as ruining your OGCD alignment for it. So being able to do that more often will result in like a slight potency increase across a fight. It's not going to meaningfully change how most people play the job though. I think it's just like going to be a nice little, oh, you get Swift a little more often change for Red Mage. I don't think it's very impactful. And then Adol's duration being increased to 15 seconds is pretty cool. I assume that's just because people can struggle to press Adol if there's a raid wide during a burst window, for example, due to like the high concentration of OGCDs required. It is also going to make it easier to time things where you need like 2 add-ons for back-to-back raid-wise, for example, like Mega Holies and T. So that's going to be pretty nice. No huge change there, but it's just nice quality of life again. And then if we skip forward to the red mage part, they just go over what I said before. Monification will no longer give mana, but will let you press the combo without cost. And the Moulinet combo will now cost 50 mana, which is very nice, honestly. I don't play a lot of red mage in dungeons, but just having continuity between the job, not having to remember that the AoE combo is 60 every time you step into a dungeon is pretty nice. And to go over what this means for the job as a whole, this is a TLDR of the changes that I just went over. We don't know a lot about the things that will actually impact the job rotationally from this trailer. So from viewing this and assuming there are no significant changes beyond this, which is a big assumption and we'll have to wait for more information to find out. But from our understanding today, the core job will barely change. It will still play very, very similarly, unless those OGCDs have some crazy rotational effects, which is, I doubt. I assume they're just like a little bit of damage. It will basically be the exact same, except you will have much more lenient gauge management going into burst windows. Because right now, going into like a 2-minute window, you can risk overcapping if you have too much mana, or you can struggle to execute a triple melee combo if you haven't met a mana threshold. The threshold for that is 73-73, and as of right now, going into the 2-minute window, it's very difficult to hit 73-73 in time to do the combo. The first combo is 17 seconds before Embolden, but if you wait to do your first combo of a triple combo window 5 seconds before Embolden, you are liable to overcapping. With this change, you can freely do your first combo of 3 right before buffs come up, and you will not overcap. It's going to be just a little easier to play around. There's not going to be a huge change to the rotation, but you're going to have to think less about your mana, basically. It's also going to reduce the times that you may get fucked over for rushing, because as it stands right now, rushing in full uptime does require a little bit of mana loss due to the requirement to press it strictly on cooldown. Sometimes you'll have like 55, 52 mana when it comes up, and you press it and you just eat the loss of 7. But with this change, you no longer gain mana, you just gain a free combo, you won't lose that mana anymore. My biggest concern from this shown video is that going into Dawntrail, if modification gives you a timed buff to allow you to use a free combo, that will break the ability to use modification in downtime. We notably do this in the ultimates, such as, I think it works in all of them, to be honest, rushing modific, maybe not T. But like notably you press modific in big downtime mechanics such as top in the beginning of P5 Delta. Modific comes up right at the start of Delta, and if you want to drift it into the buff window of Sigma, you lose so much time, but we are willing to just press it at the start of Delta, gain the mana, lose the self buff for the sake of gaining a cost of modific in the phase. With this change to assumedly make the free modific combo timed, for example, a 30-second buff like it seems to be from the Viper playtest on the stream, we will no longer be able to do that because the buff will time out before the boss comes back. And I think that's pretty sad, to be honest. Downtime modific is some of the nichest optimization that we have left on this job, outside of just like small micro things during uptime, like maximizing your swift costs and like making sure you get max OGCD value, like not losing a cost of them. So I think losing out on the ability to rush modific in downtime is just a step towards a simpler version of Red Mage, which is fine depending on the player, but I really enjoyed testing it out in longer ultimates and seeing like how you could gain a cast or two of Monific throughout the fight if you just stop being beholden to uptime buff windows. I hope that they are aware of this and can take it into account and will somehow make it work. I don't really know what they could change. Maybe just make the buff duration infinite, but it will break if you press any other action except the melee combo. But yeah, I just hope SE is aware of this optimization in some capacity and will design Dawntrail Red Mage around it. The things that we don't know about Red Mage going into Dawntrail is kind of like what I just spoke about. We don't know if Monific can be used in downtime. We don't know if Monific still breaks our combo. As of right now, the combo is coded so that the melee hits are technically separate to the ranged hits in the way that Monific treats it. The tooltip of Monific says it will break combos if you press it in the middle of a combo, but if you press it between Redoublement and Verholy or Verflare, it doesn't break it for some reason. And I think that's pretty cool. I liked being able to do that in Endwalker. It was nice. There's going to be less reason to do that in Dawntrail due to the change to modification, but we just don't know right now if it will break it or not. I don't think it'll have a major impact on the job either way, but that's something that we don't know about Dawntrail Red Mage that we do in Endwalker. We don't know if Flesh and C6 are still in the game. I'm a little afraid of this, to be honest, because they seem to be culling OGCDs from jobs. Like, they got rid of Spine Shatter on Dragoon, notably, and they've like explicitly said that they do not like button bloat on jobs. I don't agree that Red Mage has that much button bloat. I think Flesh and C6 are like very important parts of the toolkit, and I'm just afraid of what Square Enix could do to those abilities. Like, for example, if they kept them completely as they are, but they made the cooldown 30 seconds, or like 45 instead, you would probably be required to use them in buff windows, which is not the end of the world. It's like a fine thing to do, but I kind of just like having non-uniform OGCDs. I think it's fun to choose how you want to use them, when you, like, if you want to drift them into buffs because you know you don't lose a usage, whereas in other cases you want to slam them on cooldown all the time. I'm just hoping that they don't fuck with those OGCDs, basically. I think the very worst thing they could do is to give them stacks. Like, if I load into Dawntrail or Red Mage and Flesh and Contra 6 have 2 charges, that is going to like completely destroy the complexity of full uptime Red Mage. Because right now, almost all of your macro play, besides managing your mana gauge, is about how you avoid drifting Flesh and Contra 6. Because you have to make sure you have an acceleration or a swift cast for every single melee combo that you do, due to the changing of alignment tracks when you do a melee combo. I'm just like praying that they don't horribly mess up these skills going into Dawntrail, because that is some of the most engaging things that I've found in this game, playing a full uptime fight. It's just like having this little mini game to play around, making sure that you maintain the same alignment throughout the fight. If Red Mage just became boiled down to spend your procs, gain your mana, and press your OGCDs when buffs come up, I think that will be pretty sad. You will lose a lot of the little micro play that I came to really enjoy between buff windows, and I would feel significantly less engaged playing the job. But that is complete speculation on my part. It's just something that I could potentially see them doing, because they lean towards doing that with abilities such as Spine Shadow, like I said. And I would not be surprised if that happens, but I really hope it doesn't. We also don't know what they'll do with regards to Flesh and Contra 6 and their damage types. Right now, Red Mage is in a weird spot. I believe it's the only job in the game that has a damage type specific buff left. Our self-buff portion of Embolden is only magical, and all of our damaging OGCDs, our Flesh, our Contra 6, our Core, our Engagement, they all deal physical damage, so they are unaffected by our personal buffs. In an ideal world, you would like to put the OGCDs in the raid buffs anyway to help your teammates out. But as it is right now, it's a selfish gain to just press them on cooldown to maximize usages. Whereas if we had to play around putting them in our buffs, for example, if they made Embolden buff all damage, or if they made Flesh and Contra 6 deal magical damage, I think the job would just become a little more clunky perhaps, especially with its current cooldowns. We just don't know like their intention with Embolden. It's really odd to me that they kept Embolden the same way with the OGCDs, but I've kind of come to enjoy it. I've come to like the freedom that I have with the OGCDs. But we'll see what they do going into Dawntrail. I think that's pretty much all I have to say with regard to the Dawntrail information that we got given yesterday. One last thing before I end this video is that myself and the Red Mage team at The Balance have created a survey to ask the community's opinions on what we should do going into Dawntrail. It includes questions such as, what do you want from us that we aren't already providing? What are the best and worst parts of our resources? Which ones do you think are the best resources you've used ever? Not necessarily just including ours, and like how we present our resources, what you want from us with regard to that. It would just be really helpful if anyone could fill this out to give us information on what we should do going forward, because we want to help provide the community with what they want and to do our job as best as we can. So we really need the opinions of the wider community to do so. Thank you. And thanks for watching.